What's up, Breeze Nation? It's your boy P.kidd running it back, and we are now talking about the second half of the Chicago Bulls. And I ask you, should the Bulls have been buyers, or should they be buyers? The question comes up because we hear a couple trade rumors that talk about Thaddeus Young and Garrett Temples. Should we have looked at those offers, or do you want to know what those offers are, and should we have made other moves with them? I bring this to your attention. Right now, we are currently in the 9th place. And mind you, the East is always 1 or 2 games apart. You know, it's really a free-for-all with some of the good teams here. But a couple of things come to mind. One, some of the teams that we expected to be better than us experienced several things. COVID, severe injuries. Let's take Orlando, for example. Orlando is a totally different team right now than they were when they first started the season. I mean, totally different. They have been depleted, but yet and still they're 13-23. Not much, but if you really put it in context, only 5 games back from us. And we're healthy for the most part, right? You look at Indiana, who on top of a massive trade, if you want to consider that for Oladipo, the person they got back in Karis LeVert hasn't played half the season, just due to a mass found on his kidneys. They're currently in the 10th place. Again, a team who now we can say has an all-star on it in Sabonis. Also has another potential all-star on there as well. Miles Turner's playing out of his mind right now on the defensive end. That's a much better team, and we can see that as a collective. Toronto, who's been in shambles and they're moving their star guard, is still 1 game ahead of us. Charlotte has come out of nowhere for some people. Miami themselves, Jimmy Butler was down a few games. They had COVID issues. They're 18-18, right? All these teams in the East, if you really put it into perspective, had something go wrong for us to even be in this fighting position, and for the East to look like what it's looking like. If you really think about it, if the Wizards didn't have those, I think 7 games in which they had less than half, or they had the minimum of their roster, which means that they ran those people for a whole week, barely had breaks, things of that nature, they would have a much better record. And in fact, with them healthy now and the run they've been on, we can see that. They're now 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Atlanta Hawks, I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened with them. But they're making some changes, and now we get to see, I think Nick McMillan is now coaching them, so we see how that turns around. Outside of that, if you really put it into perspective, there are the teams that have consistently been players in the last couple of years within the East were affected by something. And now that we're coming into the second half, a lot of teams have regrouped, they've had this break and things of that nature. We have had some chemistry, but we still are the team that we were in a lot of ways last year. 2 injury-prone people on the bench. Kobe White still doesn't know how to run his position. Billy is running him now more of a shooting guard, and that's helping some. And Zach is obviously having a phenomenal year, but we don't have enough to get over the hump. That being making a deep playoff run, or even being a top 4 team in the East. We just don't have it. Now, my question to you is, if we look at the people who we were putting on the block, Thad Young is a great piece for us now, but is he our long-term solution for that position? Most people would say that he's a great bridge to another player to fit our team. Garrett Temple is old. He's 35. How many more years are you going to have him on your roster? So let's think about it like that. I'm not dissing him or anything like that, but let's just be realistic with the situation. When you have someone at his age, you're not going to keep him long term. And so if you're not going to do that, then it begs the question, why wouldn't you make a move? If you're already in a position where, you know what, we're kind of like middle of the road, and legitimately we are, what was the incentive to not move him, right? Is it for a bigger package later, things of that nature? There's some things, questions that I have when it comes to that. And so realistically, this is me just simply asking the nation, what should we have been in the market for some of these big players? Should we be more aggressive? Should we take a Bears approach and say, hey, listen, we're all in on getting something done to pair up with Zach? Or should we just play the lackadaisical, Yeah, we have a plan, stuff like that. Because remember, we love where our direction is going. We see what a good coach can do. But a good coach without the right pieces is still not going to make it far. So we have a better coach. We have a better coach. And maybe that in itself will allow us to attract better talent. But again, how much does it translate into wins until we actually get those pieces? It's only so much that we can do, right? It's only so much you can improve with some of the pieces we have. So you all let me know. Right now, we are sitting in the 9th seed. Again, it's only 15 teams in the conference. So when I say that we're middle of the road, I literally mean we're middle of the road. Like you would say we're a little less than the middle of the road, right? Not to put a damper on the great deal that the great job Zach has done, the great job Billy D has done. But let's be honest, we are who we are. We know that we need to make a move. There are some pieces out there that have been floated around that we weren't in on the radar for, so we've heard. There's some pieces coming up that maybe we will be on the radar for. I, for one, thought we should be all in on Oladipo. It looks like the Wizards, not Wizards, but the Warriors are trying to acquire him. For him, that actually makes sense. I honestly felt like that move should have been something that the Bulls went after, because we need someone of that skill set, someone who can actually score at will, someone who can actually control the pace of our offense, and someone who can give Zach a break. Kobe White does a good job as a stopgap, but he's a sixth man. We need someone who also can, hey, listen, take over for a second, right? And control the pace and stuff of the game. And even if we don't have a big man, which I firmly believe we do need a big man, having another star guard or a star caliber guard does a lot for your offense. I mean, let's be honest, we're in that age now where having a great backcourt is just as good as having someone in the front court. And so with this positionless basketball, things of that nature, that is actually a good move. And then you think about it. Those two together, who else does that attract? Let's keep this in mind. We're in the age and era of where stars want to play with other stars because everyone's trying to chase a ring. We can't get mad at that. That's just how the game is played now. You see everyone doing it. The Lakers are trying to load up. The Nets have definitely loaded up. The Wizards are loading up. Everyone's loading up to compete at this point because that's what you have to do in today's NBA. We can hate it all we want to, but as fans, we kind of created this monster as much as we've demonized great players for not having rings. And so the players are like, hey, skip it. We're going to team up and go get this ring now. What you got to say? So we can't hate on that. With that being the case, we need to start attracting that type of talent. We do. Let's be honest, as much as we hate to see it, we laugh at it, there's a reason why no one picked Utah. Like in Utah, as good as they are, they don't get the fanfare and stuff like that. And they got some legitimate stars on their team, but no one picked it. You need to make yourself that destination where people want to come, they want to play with you, and you need to start pairing your star player with other star caliber players to actually make a move. That's the name of the NBA. And so for me, I think we should have been more aggressive, or at least more vocal about looking for someone to come into. I understand that they could kill camaraderie. I understand that could do a lot of different things. But for me, that just tells the fan base, that tells my star player, that tells my organization, hey, listen, we know what it takes to win in today's NBA. We're looking at what it takes to win in today's NBA. Not just be competitive, but to actually win. And we're looking to make moves for us to be in that type of contention. Not a 5th, 6th seed. We don't want to be the Portland Trail Blazers of the East. That's not who we are. If you're good with that, fine, that's cool, but that's not Chicago's DNA. Call it the Jordan effect. I don't care what you want to call it. That's not who we are. We don't want that. We want to put a banner in the Raptors. We want to put a ring on players' fingers. We want to put a trophy up. We have to be more vocal about it. And so that's my take. I think that as we get closer to the end of the trade deadline and everything like that, it is more apparent that we may not make a big move, which I wish we would have, just to kind of do something a little differently and to honestly, again, pair someone with our star player who we will definitely have to give the bag to. Like All-Star, he made the All-Star team. On those contracts now, that person is guaranteed is a lock for a max. Gotta make some moves to get around our max player. Gotta make some moves. And I'm all for experimenting, the Semenovich thing and all that. Semenovich looks great on film, but guess what? Not all of those players who dominate overseas translate well to the NBA. Even in today, that's a 50-50 thing. Not everyone can come over and be Luka. This is the facts. So Breeze Nation, you let me know. You tell me how you feel about it. Right now, we are going into the second half, and our calendar is tough. We have, let me pull this up real quick. If you rocking with me, I appreciate it. Let's talk about our next couple of games. All right, listen, we have we have Philly tomorrow, Miami the day after, Toronto, which is okay, OKC, who's been balling a little bit, San Antonio, who is 18-14, Denver after that, I think Clippers. Listen, all I'm saying is we have a tough schedule ahead of us, which means that our record, which is now all still under 500, may even plunge a little deeper, not because we just completely suck, but because some of those teams are now hitting the stride and they were just better. They have more talent. And if that's the facts, then guess what? We can find ourselves, again, fighting for that. We're a playing team at this point, fighting for that AFC and stuff like that. But if other teams were healthy, we wouldn't even be in that position. And so, listen, Breeze Nation, again, you all let me know. I think AK has done a great job so far. I think Billy Donovan's done a great job so far. I'm not bashing them, but I understand that we don't have the right pieces to make a long stretch. So again, you all let me know. This is your boy P.kidd.